Well, hey, folks, a major twist just dropped in the case of James Toliver Craig, the Colorado dentist accused with murdering his wife with poison. And it's the kind of development that true crime followers know can tilt a courtroom into chaos. Opening statements are next, and Craig not only stands accused of premeditated murder, with tampering with evidence, and was soliciting the murder of a detective from behind bars. But now, this guy's own defense attorney is facing charges just days before the jury selection was to begin, and his attorney withdrew from the case after being arrested for allegedly setting his own house on fire. This case is going to be interesting. Hey, welcome to Profiling Evil, and thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you'll hit that like and subscribe button and share Profiling Evil with all your true crime friends. It really helps us grow, and I love having more people here for the ride. Now, the arrest of Craig's attorney marked the second time that this defendant's lost his attorney right before some hearing or trial. Last November, another high-profile Denver lawyer withdrew from Craig's case, citing professional conflict. Now, according to the court filings on that, the attorney wrote that his client, Dr. Dentist Craig, was pursuing a course of action that he found not only criminal, but morally repugnant. Now, all of this came after allegations dropped that Craig was trying to hire a hitman in the jail to kill the lead detective on his wife's murder case. And the lawyer bailing out on Craig raises even more eyebrows. Another Denver attorney called the whole thing a mess, labeling the case as convoluted and chaotic, and wondering if the ordeal could compromise the fairness of a trial that's already high profile and emotionally charged. Imagine Craig's remaining lawyer now facing the daunting task of going to trial alone in just a day. If that's what really happens, then it's all going to be really interesting. So let's rewind where all of this started. The suspicious and sudden death of Angela Craig, the wife of Dr. Craig. In March 2023, Angela began suffering from mysterious symptoms, things like dizziness, headaches, nausea, things that were culminating in seizures and complete neurological failure. By March 18th, she was declared brain dead by physicians, and it wasn't long before suspicions were raised, all eyes turning to her husband, Dr. James Craig. Now, according to the affidavits from the Aurora Police Department, Craig had been researching undetectable poisons for weeks, including arsenic, cyanide, oleander, and tetrahydrozoline. These are the active ingredients in eye drops. Now, not only was he studying their effects, but he was ordering them online. One package, a canister labeled potassium cyanide, was sent to his dental office. They don't order that in a dental office. Another, containing arsenic, arrived at his home just days before Angela fell ill. Now, Angela's death wasn't sudden in the way that we often think about poisonings. This was, frankly, much more insidious, a slow decline over several days. She'd visited the hospital twice before her final collapse, each time being released after the doctors failed to determine the cause of her illness. That pattern, the prolonged suffering with no diagnosis, and actually it aligns on how certain kinds of poisons by things like arsenic and tetrahydrozoline can mimic symptoms of natural illnesses. Investigators would later say that Angela had more than 400 times the therapeutic dose of tetrahydrozoline in her system, something that is far beyond an accidental exposure. That level of chemical imbalance would impact her blood pressure, her neurological functioning, and it could ultimately and most likely cause fatal seizures and her death. Meanwhile, Dr. Craig's digital trail was unmistakable. Investigators discovered that Craig had created a new Gmail account that was linked to a computer in his exam room, only exam room number 9 in his clinic. And that's where he was apparently conducting most of his online poison research. Now, he never used his professional email for these transactions that he was doing online. And surveillance footage, internet history, and interviews with dental staff confirmed that Craig was acting strangely in the days surrounding Angela's decline. Staff recounted him requesting secrecy over the deliveries he was receiving. And one employee actually opened the package unsuspectingly before resealing it and handing it off. But inside, she found those dangerous chemicals. Now, Craig tried to pass the package off as a gift for his wife, but when confronted with the truth, soon admitted that the contents were potassium cyanide. Now, even more damning were text messages that investigators recovered from Craig's devices. He'd been messaging a woman that he was having an affair with, telling her that he was trapped, that he couldn't get a divorce right now, and he even went so far as, according to media reports, asking, "Do you know anybody who could help me with my problem down here? I can pay handsomely." Well, the following day he wrote a secondary note saying, quote, "Hitting up a homeless person actually sounds like the only choice right now," close quote. Now, these messages coincided precisely with the timeline of Angela's poisoning. And in another message, Dr. Craig wrote, "I still want to support you in every way," speaking of this lover that he had on the side, including financially. He went on with, "I have to do something about this situation I'm in first, though," close quote. And then came the new charges that he's facing, this soliciting perjury and attempting to arrange the murder of a detective from inside jail. Now, prosecutors say that Craig tried to get a fellow inmate to fabricate a deep fake video with AI that would show Angela asking James to purchase poison for her, essentially framing her own death as a suicide. Now, the video was supposed to be time-stamped February 27th, 2023, which happens to be the same day that Dr. Craig's poison research began online. Now, he's also accused of trying to enlist somebody to murder the case detective in his wife's death investigation. So he's got a pile of charges against him. That same inmate, like most inmates do, flipped, according to police, and provided detailed accounts of Craig's jailhouse scheming. And here's where things get even murkier, and where the defense might actually dig in, because no matter how shocking these allegations are, every defendant is entitled to the presumption of innocence. And the defense strategy around the deepfake video is likely to rest on several key arguments. First, I think they're going to highlight the fact that jailhouse informants are notoriously unreliable. The defense attorneys will need to argue that inmates will say anything to curry favor with prosecutors, to hopefully get lighter sentences of their own charges. The credibility of the informant is going to be hammered during cross-examination. And secondarily, the defense might argue that even if Craig talked about the video, it wasn't a real plan. It was grief, desperation, maybe even fantasy. Perhaps, they will say, he wanted to believe Angela had asked him to buy the poison. because he couldn't face what actually happened. And if he did float the idea to another inmate, the defense will just claim it was never a genuine conspiracy. It was only hypothetical, the ventings of and ramblings of a distraught man who was facing life in prison. Now, third, the defense could argue that the entire line of evidence is prejudicial. The introduction of this jailhouse plot would distract from the core issue of whether Craig poisoned his wife, Angela. Now, if the prosecution wants to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt, the defense is going to demand that the court separate that act from the jailhouse allegations. Because while morally damning, it doesn't prove that Craig killed his wife. It only proves that he might have tried to save himself afterward. Hey folks, it's Mike from Profiling Evil, and I wanted to take a moment to invite you to join me at CrimeCon Denver. It's in September, and you won't want to miss this. If you love true crime and you love hanging out with people that like true crime, you ought to come and enjoy the 6,000 plus people that come to CrimeCon and take part in this amazing event. And to make it a little easier, I've worked out a deal with CrimeCon to give you a special discount on your registration. So when you go to registration, make sure you enter the code word KING, K-I-N-G, my last name, and that'll get you a discount on CrimeCon. And I look forward to seeing you there. Hey, by the way, bring your books, and I'll make sure to sign them while we're there, and we'll get some pictures together. Hey, we'll see you soon at CrimeCon. Ultimately, the defense is walking a tightrope. They have to distance Craig from the mountain of digital evidence he's facing, the poison deliveries, the damning text messages, and all of this without looking like they're grasping at straws. They're going to likely paint Angela as emotionally unwell, pointing to Craig's own statements that he made to Child Protective Services that Angela had been suicidal since he asked for a divorce. Now, Craig, in that, told that Angela had overdosed before and that he had to revive her on more than one occasion. And there is no corroborating evidence that I'm aware of this, other than the fact that the defense could attempt to plant just enough doubt in a juror's mind by bringing something like that up. And they also will likely point out that Angela herself allegedly told James something to the effect of, quote, "There are poisons that they don't test for," close quote. Now, this is taken out of context from what the prosecution's line is, but it could be interpreted as her own awareness of such substances that are out there. And perhaps the defense will argue that Angela had been quietly researching poisons herself. Perhaps she was trying to send a message. All of this, they're going to say, makes it impossible to conclude beyond a reasonable doubt that Craig was the one who administered that fatal dose. That's going to be what the defense is going to try to do, in my opinion. But the prosecution's case is deeply rooted in behavior. The kinds of things we study every day here on Profiling Evil. Things like the arsenic delivery to the doorsteps, the cyanide sent to the office under false pretenses, Dr. Craig's behaviors following a chilly and calculating pattern of activity, and things like Chief Hildebrand's comments from the Aurora Police Department when he said, "This is a heinous, complex, and calculated crime, and it doesn't stop with the murder itself. It's the aftermath, the manipulation, the narrative, the attempts to fabricate suicide evidence, the soliciting murder from jail." All of this, according to the police chief, paints a portrait of a man allegedly willing to go to extraordinary lengths to cover his tracks. Which brings me to this. As I've worked through this case, and I'm looking forward to opening statements that we're going to hear in just a few hours to talk more about this and learn more about the state's case and what the defense hopes to do to counter it. But as I work through this case, it keeps echoing something that I wrote about in my latest book, Wolves in Sheep's Clothing. It's the idea that predators hide in plain sight. that they don't come with warning signs or flashing red lights. They're going to come in smiling. They're going to shake hands. They're going to try to blend in. Maybe you like this commercial.
My name is Dr. Jim Craig, and I practice at Summerbrook Dental Group. I went to dental school at the University of Missouri at Kansas City from 2002 to 2006. I also taught dental classes at that same university for 3 years. And immediately afterward, I came out to this practice, and I've been practicing here since 2006. My approach to dentistry begins with sincerely listening to the patient and wanting to find out more about where they're coming from and what they're looking for and what they want. I also have a very strong philosophy that a happy team makes happy patients. And we have such a wonderful team here at Summerbrook. There's really no weak links. And I love hearing patients talk to me about how the positive interactions with my staff have affected their comfort level at the office.
James Craig, if these allegations are true, fits that mold disturbingly well. A well-respected dentist, a father, a husband. And yet, beneath that facade, the planning, the manipulation, and the ultimate betrayal. You know, there's a chapter in Wolves in Sheep's Clothing about a caregiver who poisoned their victim slowly, bit by bit, using routine and affection as their weapon. It's the same chilling strategy that prosecutors are saying Craig employed. What might look like care, that protein shake, might really be a vehicle for murder. And before anyone realized it, it was too late. So if you haven't read Wolves in Sheep's Clothing, I hope you'll pick up a copy. You can get it at profilingevil.com, where I'll sign the thing, or you can get it on Amazon anywhere in the world. And pick up a copy, because it's not just about this case. It helps explain how these kinds of predators operate, how they test boundaries, how they groom people and environments, and how they calculate their escape routes long before they act out a crime. It's not just a true crime book. It's a warning, a blueprint. It's a blueprint for awareness. So thanks for watching Profiling Evil. If this case has you shaking your head like it does me, give this video a thumbs up and share Profiling Evil with your friends. And please hit that subscribe button. And make sure you check out Profiling Evil on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And for those of you who like your true crime on the go, check out Profiling Evil's audio podcasts on your favorite podcast platform. Hey, and make sure you go over to profilingevil.com and sign up for our digital newsletter, The Bolo. It stands for Be on the Lookout. And the only way you're going to get it is by signing up at profilingevil.com. And while you're there, check out my other books and check out our content on profilingevil.com. Hey, thanks for your support. We'll see you soon at the next crime scene.